with Team Garo coming out pretty soon, and me having watched Thorgy's latest KOF like teams DLC wish list, I thought I would make my own and kind of make it a bit more conceptually consistent. You know, KOF 15 DLC teams, you get the gist. So the first team I want to see in KOF 15 is actually a team I wanted in the base game. If you saw my predictions video, I had these three listed as you know, a potential team up I wanted to see in KOF 15. Also, a bit of a flex, I totally called Team Rival. So the first team I would like to see is Team Korean Justice. So obviously one member would be Kim Kafwan. They were pretty crazy not to put him in the base game, and they would be even crazier not to make money off of him in the form of DLC. Like, Kim is guaranteed to come back. There's nowhere they're excluding him entirely out of KOF 15. But to kind of ease people's like wallets and their concerns about having to pay for like a long-time legacy character, you can pair him with two characters that have been highly requested. My like number one character that I want to see in KOF 15, bar none, like if you only had one DLC choice and you asked me which one would it would be Mei Lee. I think she's super cool. The fact that she's like a taekwondo slash superhero hybrid is just kind of like a ridiculous concept, but it makes sense considering like how much of a justice zealot Kim is. And the third character would be June. I think June is pretty sick. I would love to see how his playstyle translates into 15, and I think these three are pretty much due for a team up. The second team I would like to see is Team Ash Saga. So I think most of you are going to know who these three are going to be, but number one obviously is Shen. I think Shen is the coolest Ash Saga character. I also like just how like simple he is, but yet just how like fulfilling and satisfying his moves are. So yeah, I think he would be a no-brainer. Oswald has a pretty good chance to make it in. He was in 14, so they already have a lot of assets that they can reuse for him. And then the third one would be Dualon, you know, despite the fact that he stole Foxy's drip. I think he's really cool. He's like a way cooler version of Dulcim in my opinion, so I would love to see him back too. The third team I would like to see in KOF 15 is Team Psycho Soldier. Now Athena is not on this team obviously, so who would it be? Number one would be Kenso. However, I don't want KOF 14 Kenso. I need 2002 Kenso. I think this is probably his coolest design. I think his KOF 13 design is also pretty cool, so I wouldn't mind that, but I do not want KOF 14 Kenso. In terms of visuals, I think he's extremely fun in 14, and you know, I would like to see him back. Second one is pretty obvious too. Chin would make a comeback. I have never really been into this character, but he is pretty paramount in the Team Psycho Soldier team outside of Athena, so it would kind of be like sacrilege not to have him on a Psycho Soldier team. But the third one, I was kind of having an interesting decision with this one. I was thinking either Momoko from KOF 11 or the one I picked ultimately would be Bao. I think this like little orange Sonic the Hedgehog wannabe slash Blanca hybrid is pretty cool. I would like to see how his moveset would translate, and yeah, I think having this team back would be pretty cool. I know most people aren't that big of a fan of like Kenso and gang, but I personally find him very fun to play, and I would love to see him again. The fourth team I would like to see in KOF 15 is Team Japan. Now, who would be on Team Japan? Well, number one, it would be Goro Daimon. I don't know how he's not in the base game here. He's like a staple. He was in the first hero team of the series, so like I guess they're treating him like E Honda. Like, he's definitely gonna come back regardless, but who are they gonna pair him up with? So here's where it kind of gets interesting. I know in one of the endings for 15 it has Shingo and Saisu kind of talking it out, so you might assume they might be on a team, but I would probably only want Shingo to be on Team Japan just because I have different plans for Saisu later on. I know Shingo is very pixely. This is the best picture I could find of him, sorry. And the third member I actually think would be Hinato. Now, it might be weird considering you have like two grapplers on the same team, but fuck it, man. It's Grappler City. Yeah, I think this team makes a lot of sense personally, and you know, I think they're pretty much, you know, due for a comeback anyway, especially Shingo. Like, he's been heavily requested, and I don't see them not including Shingo in future DLC. All right, the fifth team I would like to see in KOF 15. This is kind of a throwback, a pretty big one. And by throwback, I mean, how the hell have they not been in a modern KOF yet? And of course, I am talking about Team American Sports. I think most of you know who they are: Lucky, Heavy D, and Brian Battler. They're just due for a comeback. Like, I'm not gonna really go into like why I want them back. They're just cool. Why haven't they been in a modern KOF yet? Come on, step your game up. The sixth team I would love to see in KOF 15 would be Team Pretty Girls. This is essentially just a new variant on the team from 2002 UM. So the team would consist of number 1, Xiang Fei, obviously. I think she's a really fun character. She looks really cool while doing stuff, and you know, I would want her back. Number 2 is Kasumi Toto. I know she's pretty much a fan favorite, and I haven't seen her in a while either. So you know, it would be kind of cool to see her playstyle manifested into a modern KOF. And the third character, I think, might be what a lot of other people have already like wanted from SNK in terms of like having this character back, but Hotaru Futaba. Yes, she is a Gaoro character, but I don't think KOF really cares about timelines, considering Rock isn't in the game. So what the fuck ever. Yeah, man, like, they all have 3 very distinct playstyles, yet I think they could genuinely mesh together in terms of like their personalities. So I would like to see them back. The 7th team I would like to see in KOF 15 is a team I've been having in mind since the days of like later KOF 13, after its like story mode conclusion, and that is Team New Old Blood, aka Team Adelheid. So you would have the Cloud wannabe himself, Adelheid, and who would you pair him with? Well, Thorgy kind of spoiled that in his video, but I had the same idea. It would be Mature and Vice. Now here's the thing: if I'm getting Mature and Vice back, I am done with the pantsuit era. I'm done with it. I want them back in their dresses. Their dresses are so cool and so well designed. They're kind of iconic to me, and yeah, just put them back in their dresses. Also, I would like Vice to have her Chun-Li kicks back. What's better about this team is that you can kind of like pseudo-market it as a Final Fantasy team. So you got Cloud, Mature can be, she's more of an Aerith to me. And, you know, Vice is kind of like Tifa, except Tifa's not a cannibal or psychotic, to my knowledge. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is like a great team. I think it was really cool to see someone else confirm it in a video for me, but yeah, man, let's make this happen. The 8th team I would like to see in KOF 15 would be a KOF 14 returnees team. I think KOF 14 had the most newcomers in series history. Most of them were okay, but a few of them I thought were pretty much great, and I would love to see them again. So number 1 is Zarina. I think her character is cool. I think her playstyle is really, really fun. And yeah, man, I mean, I think we just need, you know, some more like country representation in this game. So, you know, Zarina would definitely fit. Second one would be Mian. I think her design's pretty cool, and even though she is annoying as fuck with her air dashes and stuff like that, I think she would definitely be a pleasant return, especially to kind of see how she would play in 15's like meter infrastructure and stuff like that. And the third character would be Moi Moi. She was just really fun, and she packed a lot of heat. Like, she kind of came out of nowhere and stole a lot of people's hearts with how she played, and I think you know, she's kind of due to come back. You know, she's kind of a niche favorite in the fan base. I would personally like to see her return. Now, I know what you all might be thinking: what about Sylvie? Well, the 9th team I would love to see in KOF 15 is called Ness Revival. Now, who's going to be a part of it? Now, obviously, I'm putting Sylvie in here because she's a former Nest experiment, but who are her teammates going to be? Well, in the story mode, they kind of confirmed that there were 2 characters of a Miss Kula Diamond who may have survived their encounter with a certain Akira knockoff wannabe, and I think that in Kula's place, they would be assigned to take care of Sylvie. So that would be Foxy and Diana. What makes Diana interesting is that I don't think she's ever been playable in KOF, even like as a sub boss or really like an NPC of any kind. So I think her being a new character gives them a lot of routes to kind of give her a very unique moveset. And plus I think this team would just be like cool as fuck to see. For this next team, I did mention Saisu earlier, and that is because I would want him to be on a modern day Masters team. So it would be Saisu, the main Chad himself. One of the other ones would be Tung Fu Ru. I think it's kind of wild to me how he's a pretty important character in Fatal Fury, yet he's only been in one KOF game, which was KOF 14. So, they can definitely like reuse his assets and just put him in there. For the third guy, I think most of you might know who this is. However, I don't want him to look like he did in 13. I need Daddy Takuma back. Look at him, bro. He's fucking daddy. All right, for this next team, I would love to see a Team SNK invitees. Now, most characters in King of Fighters are represented from KOF itself, Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, and like a hint of Metal Slug, and that's kind of not good enough in my opinion. Like, you have a lot of series, and KOF is supposed to be like this huge crossover, and I think what better way to kind of include more characters from the SNK universe than this team, which will sprinkle it from different series. So number one would be Hibiki from Last Blade. I know she's been a guest character in Samurai Showdown, and she was also in CBS 2, but I would like to see her in like in a formal KOF position. I think her moveset would be pretty dope. Second character would be Fio. I think you definitely need a Metal Slug character in this game, especially since there's a new one coming out pretty soon, I think later this summer, so it'd be kind of crazy for SNK not to cross market with one of their DLC teams. I had a bit of a conundrum, either Marco or Fio. I think most people want Fio, so I'd go with Fio too. No ill will there. But the leader of the team, or like the final member, I think should be a character from Kazuna Encounter, and that would be Rosa. I think she's pretty cool. We don't see a lot of SNK's smaller titles get representation. I think she would be a great character to kind of intrigue people to go back and look through their back catalog. For this next team, I know I just said that KOF is kind of littered with Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting characters, but this team I would call Team Fatal Fury characters that have not been playable in KOF yet for some reason. Yeah, I know it's kind of antithetical to what I just said for my last team, but fuck you, it's my list. Anyway, the first character I would like to see, and most people want to see in a KOF, is Marco Rodriguez from Gauro. How he hasn't been in a KOF or playable in a KOF yet, I have no idea, but I think now's the time. Speaking of now's the time, Han Fu deserves to be in a KOF game. He's super cool, and the only representation of Han Fu I've ever seen outside of Fatal Fury has been, I think, Chun-Li's intro versus Yamazaki in CBS 2. Excuse me. That's the most he gets, despite being like the only nunchuck user in the entire universe of SNK, as far as I know. Nah. He has to be in, bro. Like he's too cool not to be in. And this third character might not make any sense in terms of like why these three would work together or their personalities melding, considering he's kind of a psychopath, but I want to see Kane. I think Kane is pretty cool. I know he's basically just like a dapper version of Kai Kisuke, but I think he was a really cool character to watch in Gauro, and I would love to kind of see how he would play in a modern day KOF. So yeah, these three, they can make it work, I hope. The next team I would like to see is a bosses team, and the way I would organize this is essentially just one from each era. So you probably know who the first one's going to be. First one up is Orochi. I think he has not been playable at all in KOF, even in 2002 when they had like that stacked ass boss team. So I think, what better way than now to do it? He would essentially kind of be kind of how Capcom introduced Gil in Street Fighter V. You can definitely make it work. Number two would be Ignis, the Alucard ripoff himself. I would love to see him in a return. I think he was super fun in 2002, despite being incredibly busted with his Infinite, but no, he'd be dope. And the third one would be from the Ash Saga. Now, admittedly, I don't think any of the Ash Saga villains are all that memorable, but they're way fucking better than the KOF 14, 15 ones, and that would be Mukai. I think he looks pretty dope. He was pretty annoying to fight. Why not? I think these three can definitely work out a pact, or you know, avoid to kill each other for some time. For the 14th team I would like to see in KOF 15, this would be another batch of returnees, and I would call this one team KOF 11 returnees. So the first one would be Guy Tendo. I think KOF 11 probably had the most unique starting roster in the series, mostly because they had like series that we have never seen characters ever appear in a KOF before, like Guy over here, and especially Sho Hayate. I know he kind of just looks like Rambo with a boomerang, but that's kind of his charm. I would love to see both of them back. And the third one, I was going to include another Buriki character, but I kind of want to see Malin back. I think her playstyle was really cool, and you know, it was kind of a tough call to make here because there's like a couple of other KOF 11 characters I would love to see in 15, but yeah, I think these three coming back together would be pretty dope. And for the final team I want to see in KOF 15, it would be a guest team. I think it's about time SNK start calling in some favors from the fact that they have so many other franchises that use their characters, like Terry is in Fighting EX Layer and Smash, Geese is in Tekken, Kula and Mai are in Dead or Alive, Haomaru is in Soul Calibur, and plus KOF All-Stars has so many crossovers, and that's just a mobile game. Recently got a Street Fighter V crossover, it got a Tekken crossover, it got a Dead or Alive crossover, a Guilty Gear crossover, even a fucking WWE crossover. Like this picture with Shingo and John Cena, it's iconic, baby. So you need 3 different companies, in my opinion, to have characters from, just to kind of make this work. So one would be Capcom, obviously. Number 2 would be Bandai Namco. I think they owe SNK the most. And the third one, it's kind of a toss-up, so I'll get to that later, but it would be Koei Tecmo for now. So, on Capcom's end, you can add virtually anyone from Street Fighter and it would be hype as shit. Just because there's just a lot of like parallels from Street Fighter characters to KOF characters. Like Ryu has, I guess you could say, Kyo. Ken has K-Dash, although Ken wishes he was as cool as K-Dash. Ken wishes he was as cool as K-Dash. Ken wishes he was as cool as K-Dash. Ken wishes he was as cool as K-Dash.
What is it, Peterson?
I'm not sure. I feel a disturbance.
Ash has Guile. El Fuerte has Ramon. Like, the list goes on and on. I think the one character you can't really find a parallel for in terms of gameplay would be Chun-Li. I know her parallel to most people is Mai, and that makes sense in terms of like their personalities, but I'm talking about like pure gameplay wise. There's not really someone in KOF who I can say plays exactly like Chun-Li. I think she's very unique in her playstyle, and I would like to see her in a KOF game to kind of just, you know, see how much havoc she can wreak. I was gonna say Akuma, but she's already in the game and her name is Yuri Sakazaki. So for Bandai Namco, it's gonna definitely be a Tekken character, but which one? I think it's kind of crazy to see how many people want Jin Kazama in a KOF game, and it's universally Jin too. Like everyone I've seen videos from in regards to like what they want from KOF roster, they all want Jin, and there's a big reason why. In my opinion, Jin is the coolest Tekken character. I think Kazuya is badass, I think Hayachi is okay, but I think Jin just has a lot more to bring to this table, and you know, give Jin his time to shine in a separate game. Like Hayachi got Soul Calibur and PlayStation All-Stars, Kazuya got in Smash. Let Jin shine on his own. He's too cool not to just let him run free. And for Koei Tecmo, I kind of had 2 candidates. One would obviously be Kasumi. She's the poster girl of the series. Or you could include one of the most famous characters in his genre, being Ryu. Hayabusa. There is most likely never going to be another Ninja Gaiden game, and I refuse to idly sit by and watch this man only be relegated to a Dead or Alive appearance. I think it would be pretty cool in KOF, and you know, hopefully if there were more eyes on him through a DLC team, maybe it would convince the creators of Ninja Gaiden, like, hey, we should probably give him another game, because he's too cool not to give another game. However, while I think Koei Tecmo is cool, I think the most logical choice to go with is probably just going to be Arc System Works. And there's like 2 candidates I have. One would be Giovanna. When I first laid eyes on her, I thought she was like straight up like SNK inspired. I know there were a couple of characters in Guilty Gear that are like very inspired by SNK characters, but Gio kind of just screamed that out to me. I think she'd be pretty cool. But logically, I think if you're going to include a Guilty Gear character, it's going to be Soul Bad Guy. And, you know, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think Soul is pretty goddamn cool. And he has a lot of parallels to Terry, so that would be pretty dope to see them two interact with each other. And yeah, I think Soul also would probably bring the biggest challenge in terms of integrating a Guilty Gear character into a KOF game. Like, would he have a special version of max mode where it's just a Roman cancel? Would he have dedicated air combos? Does he have chains instead of command normals from like certain moves? Yeah, I mean, really just depends. Are they going to take him from Xrd or are they going to take him from Strive? I would personally want Xrd, but I wouldn't mind the Strive version either. And there is my list for the top 15 teams I would love to see in KOF 15. Even though I mentioned upwards of 45 plus characters, I would still want to see a couple more I didn't get to mention, like Hein and Momoko and Silver and Wolfgang and Shion and Lin and Seth, and you know, the list goes on and on. But I would like to hear what you guys think. Are any of these teams, you know, teams you had in mind? What are your teams that you want to see in KOF 15? Be sure to comment down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing. I will definitely have more KOF 15 content coming out later. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see you guys next time.